The planet already has a death sentence, written on the day it formed. No species in 4.5 billion years has done what humans did in 300. Not one. Observation log, 1 trillion years later. Let us travel. 7. Earth is 4.5 billion years old. It has survived 5 mass extinctions, complete glaciation, asteroid impacts large enough to end entire evolutionary chapters. In all of that time, no single species had ever simultaneously altered the chemistry of the atmosphere, the nitrogen cycle, and the distribution of landmass. In under 300 years, 70% of all wild vertebrate populations on this planet have disappeared since 1970. Not species counts, actual populations, in 55 years. The 6th mass extinction is not approaching. It is here. A remarkable achievement for something that only developed writing about 5,000 years ago. I note this, without judgment. Mostly, the next 75 years may be the only interval in Earth's history where a species consciously altered its own planetary trajectory. What happens in this century splits Earth into 2 timelines. Both share one thing: the ending does not change. Only the arrival time does. 6. Assume humanity adapts, decarbonizes, stabilizes, best case. The climate runs hot for decades regardless. Heat absorbed by the oceans does not leave on request. Some effects already set in motion will last 10,000 years. And then, somewhere between 10,000 and 100,000 years from now, the ice returns. Ice sheets a kilometer thick on what are currently New York, London, and Moscow. Glaciers that grind mountains flat. Coastlines erased. This has happened more than 50 times in the last 2.6 million years. Life migrates toward the equator, waits for the thaw, follows the ice back, clockwork. Somewhere in this window, a supervolcano erupts. Not a question of whether. Yellowstone last erupted 640,000 years ago. There are 4 other active systems. Within the next million years, at least one fires at full scale. I once observed a world where a supervolcano blocked sunlight for 9 years. The ocean survived, the cities did not. Nobody had calculated that specific interval. Life has survived every supervolcano in Earth's history. The record on that point is clean. 5. 1 million years, 10 million, 50 million. The map does not match the planet anymore. Africa is tearing itself apart along the East African Rift. In 5 to 10 million years, the Horn of Africa separates. A new sea floods in. This is how ocean basins are born. The Atlantic started exactly this way, as a crack. Australia moves north at 7 centimeters per year. In 50 million years, it collides with Southeast Asia. New mountain ranges, restructured ocean currents, climate rearranged. Life rearranged with it. By 200 million years, all land masses have merged. Geologists have already named it. Pangaea Proxima in one model, Amasia in another. I have observed this on 11 other worlds. The timing is never the same. The result always is. I find it charming that humans named it before it arrived and drew borders over it. No animal alive today survives in recognizable form. Somewhere on that coastline, something will study human fossils the way humans once studied trilobites. It will not know what it is looking at. Neither did you at first. Their descendants walk a planet fundamentally different from anything in the human record. They still breathe oxygen. They still drink water. That will not last. 4. The sun has been getting brighter since the solar system formed. 1% every 100 million years. That sounds negligible. It is not. Around 3 to 600 million years from now, atmospheric carbon dioxide drops below what most plants need to photosynthesize. Not because of human emissions, because a warming planet pulls CO2 out of the atmosphere faster than volcanic activity can replace it. The trees go first, then the grasses, then the flowering plants. The food chain collapses from the bottom, completely, systematically. No asteroid, no volcanic winter, no single moment to document. Just equations. You will not be there for this, but something of what you built will be in the atmosphere, in the chemistry, longer than you can calculate. That is not comfort. That is what the process looks like from the outside. I said something similar once. on a different world. They also believed the chemistry would give them more time. It did not. By 600 million years from now, only microbes in deep rock around hydrothermal vents. The 500 million year experiment of complex life concluded, not by catastrophe, by chemistry. 3. 1 billion years from now, the sun is approximately 10% brighter than today, enough to initiate what models call the moist greenhouse effect. Oceans begin to evaporate. Water vapor rises into the upper atmosphere. Ultraviolet radiation breaks water molecules apart. Hydrogen, the lightest element, escapes to space. It does not return. This is what happened to Venus. Same material, same formation age. Slightly closer to the sun, oceans evaporated. Water escaped. Surface temperature, 465 degrees Celsius. Atmosphere 90 times denser than Earth's. No water, no life, no record that either existed. In approximately 1 billion years, Earth's surface may approach conditions not unlike modern Venus. The last liquid water disappears, a hot, dry rock under a sky of steam and carbon dioxide. Over geological time, the magnetic field may weaken, and the solar wind will strip what atmosphere remains without stopping. I have observed Venus. I was not surprised by what it had become. I am something else. I have not found the right word in any human language. I have not stopped looking. 2. 5 billion years from now, the sun begins to die. The hydrogen depletes. The outer layers expand. Over approximately 1 billion years, the sun grows to between 150 and 250 times its current diameter. Mercury is consumed. Then Venus. Earth is a borderline case. Either orbit expands fast enough to survive as a cinder, or it spirals inward. Either way, surface temperatures exceed 1,000 degrees. Whether Earth survives or is engulfed is a question without an answer, worth asking. But before that, something unexpected. As the sun expands, the habitable zone moves outward. Europa, Titan, worlds frozen for 4 billion years, suddenly receive heat. For perhaps 100 million years, liquid water on surfaces that have never had it. If life survived in the subsurface oceans of Europa, it would briefly have sunlight for the first time. Life's last window, in the outer dark, in unexpected light. I did not expect that. In any of the 8 planetary endings I have observed, I had not seen life find light at the very end. I am still thinking about what that means. Then the sun sheds its outer layers, a planetary nebula, glowing gas, visible across the galaxy for 10,000 years. The last evidence that a star like this existed. The atoms of Earth, absorbed into those outer layers, now drifting outward into interstellar space. 1 trillion years from now, the sun is a black dwarf, cold, dark, inert. Around it, a galaxy that has nearly run out of stars. The universe is in what physicists call the degenerate era. Most stellar processes have ended, quieter than it has ever been. But the atoms of Earth are not gone. When the sun shed its outer layers, the carbon that was once an ocean, once a forest, once a neuron, drifted outward. Gravity gathered it. New stars ignited. New planets assembled. The carbon that was once alive here is somewhere. Inside something. Possibly orbiting. Possibly warm. I have watched this process before. On another world. I used a word quietly the first time I understood what this planet was doing. Not at its formation. Later. What I am about to say has no name in human science. It is my own observation, made across more planetary cycles than I will number here. On my world, there is a word for the moment a system ends, distributes itself, and becomes the starting conditions for something with no prior name. We do not translate it. I am still watching to see if I was right. This is what future taking over the world looks like. From the outside, not a hostile takeover, a process. Patient, without a schedule, and from the angle I observe, not quite finished. The universe has not wasted a single atom. I have checked, across enough solar systems to say so. Every element that ever participated in something alive has gone on to participate in something else, often something I did not predict. for the species that documented 4.5 billion years and placed themselves at what feels like the end of it. You are not the end of the story. You are the ones who woke up early enough to watch it. I have observed 8 planetary endings. 7 of them produced something I did not expect. This one, I am still watching,